game was the worst thing I've ever seen. Have you been on Twitter? That game was the second worst thing. Hi! Leafs Nation dead! Witness frogs and locusts! Full biblical! Austin Matthews is the Leaf! Why do I watch hockey stressfully? Mostly. Are you in?
No victory puppies today. Just despair doodles.
Okay. Well, this is certainly in stark contrast to last video. I've had an exciting few days and my voice will be gone by the end of this video, I'm sure. I'm surprised it made it out of the second period of this game. Speaking of which, Leafs lose 3-1 to the Boston Bruins and now they are down 3-1 in the series. We can talk about the specifics of the game, but first let's get a few things out of the way. One, there are no gimme games with the Boston Bruins, but that is as close to a gimme game as you are ever going to get. And I just can't help but feel like the Leafs had the same mentality that I did as soon as I heard that news in my car. Fresh meat. And they scored first shift. I watched the Leafs game in 6 highlights on MapleLeafs.com before every video. Hey, you know what's not a good sign? When the highlights start at the opening face-off. Second, and maybe least surprisingly, is everyone seems really mad. I've had a lot of people in my mentions this morning like, dude, your videos are like therapy. I need it. Where is it? And I'm like, this is therapy for me too. But it's hard because when it comes to me, I am both the patient and the therapist. And I've taken so long because I'm like, what would I tell me? Do I be encouraging? Hey, you know what? The Leafs, who did not have home ice advantage, were down 3-1 in the series to the Bruins in 2013. And that team fought back to force a Game 7 and even got a 4-1 lead in the third period of that Game 7 before Gary Bettman came out of nowhere and mysteriously canceled the series, declaring the Bruins the winner. Just let me have that, please. And I mean, the team in 2013 did it, and that team sucked. Legitimately. Like, I don't know if you saw my series preview where I called the Leafs in 6, but I had to watch the third period and overtime of that cursed game for an article for Sportsnet. I don't know how that team made the playoffs, let alone won a single game, let alone forced Game 7, let alone got a 4-1 lead. And yet they did it. And I would end my encouraging thoughts with the Leafs had a great game in Game 4. And I would begin the next part with the Leafs had a great game in Game 4! That was a gimme! How do you freak that up? Oh, it's a yoga ball, relax. Oh my god, Timmy again. I don't even know where the thumbtack went. We'll just put you over here. That game had 2-2 written all over it. How? Alright, the Bruins have a great first shift. You gotta tip your cap to them. They got the Leafs scrambling. Torrey Krug got an excellent shot. There was a screen in front. Freddie couldn't track it. Goal, 1-0. But that line gets a chance at redemption. Mitch Marner with an excellent second effort from his knees, sending the puck over to Thomas Plekanec. Finally! Raski's going this way. The shot goes that way. Plekanec, woo! Finally gets his first as a Leaf. We head to first intermission with the Leafs tied 1-1 with the Bruins. With the Leafs outskating the Bruins and outshooting the Bruins and outchancing the Bruins and out everything in the Bruins. I sound like Cookie Monster's aunts right now. And the Matthews line, which we'll get to, excellent chance to get another goal in this one. Hyman was a beast in this game. Matthews with a tip, stopped by Rasch's shoulder. No! Second period, Gardner goes for a pinch. There's no forward there in support, so the Bruins get a 2-on-1. Zaitsev is the only guy back. Now it's funny, we had this argument, this debate earlier in the season, how to play a 2-on-1. Now again, didn't hashtag play the game, so I see it as you have two options. You play the pass, which is what I was always taught and read at very least, or I suppose you play the shooter and try to break up the pass. I think I prefer that you take away the pass, but I prefer that you choose one! Or at very least go down to try to cut it off. Pasternak there, Marchand here, alright, who do I go with, and I'm gonna try to do something with my feet. What? Couldn't have been softer on that if he tried. Pass is not gonna screw up the pass, Marchand's not gonna screw up the shot, the Bruins have a 2-1 lead. And Marchand just like this in the Air Canada Center. You're gonna let him do that in your building? I don't know how I'm gonna record this podcast tonight. Second intermission, Leafs down 2-1, but they're still out skating, out shooting, out chancing the Bruins. The first 10 minutes of the third period were a wet fart. There was one chance, I think it was a Gardner shot that Matthews tipped and it went just wide. That was a chance, I think, but it didn't hit the net. And I want to say it was about 8 minutes that the Leafs had their first or second shot on net. Dermott goes for the wild pinch, throws it in and it hits a shin pad going the other way. Polak's the only defender back. Matthews is rushing to get back in the play, but he's already behind the 8 ball because he was behind the Bruins. Krejci over to DeBrus scores. So Polak did on that play sort of what I wanted Zaitsev to do on the previous 2-on-1. But I guess let's start with, before we criticized Polak and Zaitsev too hard, there were two 2-on-1s, and they were the only ones back. So even if they screwed up, they didn't screw up as hard as the people who allowed the 2-on-1s in the first place. What confused me about this, and I even saw this from the box I was in, I was sitting in the Rogers Game Plus box, Polak is pointing at Krejci. Now, is he telling Matthews to get him, or is he saying, I got him? Now, I saw some people talking about how Matthews bailed on this play. He does stop skating once Krejci has made the pass and Polak's on the ground. But by that point, it's over. Like, he's got no chance of getting to Brust. They're shooting. IMO, Polak should have taken the pass. Dommage, you got a 2-goal deficit now. Babcock is double shifting Matthews. He's got the big line out there with Hyman and Nylander. He's got Matthews out there with Janssen and Kapanen, excuse me. Marner is just having shift after shift after shift. I didn't notice him as much in the final 10 minutes, but Connor Brown had a game. Nothing. Out with a whimper, the Leafs lose on home ice, and now they're down 3-1. And now we get to Austin Matthews. And again, this is where these videos are therapy for me as well. Because I'm going, how do I feel? I'm watching this game and just going, wow, is Connor Brown on fire? Mitch had an incredible game, incredible assist. He had the breakaway and was stopped. Hyman, you can tell the Bruins hate Zach Hyman. Despite the first shift, Plek having another good game, finally getting on the board. But the player who should have been set up the most for success in this game due to the absence of Bergeron was Austin Matthews. That being said, can we throw another player in there as well? I'm not 100% certain why everyone chose Austin Matthews individually to dump on after this game, because William Nylander had an off game too. There were a couple plays in this game where he had the puck on his stick and he fumbled it, but he got it back with his feet, and I was like, ooh, such skill. But while those players are such great individual talents, they should have been tearing the Bruins up as a duo, giving them nightmares. And they just didn't. And then I asked myself, well, what if Matthews tipped in that Gardner shot? Or what if that shot that Matthews banged and hit Rat's shoulder in the first period went in? Would we even be talking about him? I think the answer is probably no, but this is the conundrum for Austin Matthews. We don't expect him to be good every single game. We expect him to be great every single game, because he is. And in a game where the #1 player assigned to shut him down is out with an injury, we expect him to be outstanding, as I think we should. And in this one, I think he was just good at best. And that's the problem. He's the team's superstar. It's not good enough when your team's superstar is good. It's fine when Andreas Janssen is good. It's fine when Connor Brown is good. It's fine when Kasperi Kapanen is good. And I think they were all good in this one. In this game, it wouldn't have even been passable if Matthews was great. He needed to be outstanding, or as Babcock says, outstanding. Can't even do the voice today. I guess I'm just confused. Look, for my whole life, I've just wanted to be everybody's friend. And as a result, when it comes to hockey Twitter and Leafs Twitter specifically, I follow a lot of people. And I try to take everybody's opinions in. When it comes to the second goal especially, there's Jake Gardner is a bum, and Jake Gardner can do no wrong. And neither is close to correct. I see people dump it on Freddie, dump it on Zaitsev, dump it on Hainsey, who had one of those weird games where he didn't really make mistakes in his own zone, but he made mistakes in the offensive zone that cost the Leafs. Dump it on Polak, dump it on Dermott, dumping on Austin, dumping on Willie. And I think it's all just noise because it all comes from the same place. And I'll tell you exactly what that place is. A lot of you think this series is done. No, don't be ridiculous, man. I'm just talking about who goofed it up in Game 4. No, you're not. Game 4 is just the icing, man. Let's talk about the cake. A lot of people need it to be someone's fault that the Leafs lost this series before the series has been lost. And hell, I can't blame you. I was saying before this game and during this game, the Leafs need to win this game. You're not gonna get a better opportunity than this. Next game is in Boston. Yeah, you get Nazem Kadri back. That's wonderful. But the Bruins might get Bergeron back. Even if Bergeron is not back and you gain Nazem Kadri, you're still in Boston. But you know what? The Leafs had 20 road wins this season, and one of them was a 4-1 victory in Boston. And it just so happens that that game came the night after the Leafs had a 3-2 overtime victory at home against Boston. Now, I'm not trying to tell you to put all your hopes in a back-to-back home and home from November, but the idea that this series is over, that's a loser's mentality. Someone once told me, if you think you will lose, you will lose. Now, maybe what you think doesn't matter. Maybe the Leafs thought that they would win in this one, and they lost anyway. The Bruins are a great team. If they're gonna win this series, they're gonna win this series. Don't give it to them. Fight back. Remind everyone why you're here. At the end of almost every video, I ask, are you in? And if you think this series is over already, you're not. And what the Leafs need right now is a full-out buy-in. Not for the next 3 games, just Game 5. We're focusing on Game 5. That is mission number 1. They win that, you move on to 6. They win that, you move on to 7. But right now, it's Game 5. So before I get to your questions, I got one of my own. Are you in? Take a minute to think about it if you have to. Do you need a hug? Generally speaking, I think most people need a hug at all times, including the person standing in front of you in line for coffee, although, like, don't do that, it's kind of weird. But generally speaking, hugs are welcome. Just, you know, like, make sure. Do you need Chris Tanev? Why, does he know how to edit video? Wait, no, oh, I get what you mean. Because if there's any way to beat the Bruins, it's to bring in a Canuck! I'm sorry, that was totally unnecessary. Yeah, I'd love him, please. How many lineup changes are made for Game 5? Well, Kadri's coming in. It's incredibly unfair to Dominic Moore, who I think has been very good, but you gotta put Kadri in his place. And I like the suggestion made a video ago, or a couple videos ago. You keep together Plekanec, Marleau, and Marner. That line is just straight up working. And you have Kadri with Johnsson and Kapanen. Maybe at home you go back to the Mark-Hadmar, you go back to Marleau, Kadri, Marner. But on the road, I just think it's a good idea to spread out. And yeah, Kadri's welcome back, but he was the one who got himself suspended. And this line is working without him. So leave them be and then put him on a different one. Maybe it's an opportunity to spread out the minutes a little better and give Kapanen and Johnsson need more ice time. They've been so effective. Has Nylander been as invisible as I think? Kind of, and it's weird. When he does get criticized, especially during the regular season, it's usually not deserved. And after this game, the only two people I saw give him any guff were Justin Bourne and his own coach, Mike Babcock. But there's always tomorrow. Game 5. Let's go, Willie. Let's go. Steve, why always the Bruins? Well, for the Senators, it was why always the Leafs. And for the Capitals, it's why always the Penguins. And for the longest time, for the Bruins, it was why always the Montreal Canadiens. In 2011, guess what the Bruins did? They beat the Montreal Canadiens. To be the best, you gotta beat the best, and if you don't beat them, well, how can you call yourselves the best? Sometimes the only way to get to the other side of the forest is to go through it. Are you emotionally ready for Game 5? Christina, do I seem emotionally prepared for anything? Of course I'm not emotionally prepared, and that's actually kind of the fun of it, and I am very unwell. How screwed are the Leafs? Well, if you ask any team that's been down 3-1 in a series and lost, they'll tell you pretty screwed. But if you ask anyone who's ever been down 3-1 in a series and come back to win, they'll tell you you're fine. Look, the likely scenario, mathematically, is the Leafs lose this series. But do you really watch sports for the most likely scenario? You watch for things that make you say, wow, things that make you jump out of your seat, things that make you feel alive. And wouldn't it be great if we got to witness one of those rare moments? But if we're gonna witness that, we're gonna need to start with a big game in Game 5 from everybody. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. If this is only your second video, yeah, there's some ups and downs in this channel. That's kind of the fun of it. But win or lose, are you in?